I have known Ed Rygel 36 years. I met him in December of 1972 when he, as part of the founding management group of MDS, were interviewing me for the role of Personnel and People Director.
I met Ed 14 years ago. I was an energetic and inexperienced MBA.
So I've known Ed for about 20 years. We met when I was introduced to him by Bill Cochran. I was working at Connaught with Bill.
We first met in 1973 when I joined MDS.
He took a chance and he actually employed me. And since then, I've had a great 14-year career with MDS. And that career wouldn't have even started without Ed taking that first meeting. And my story isn't unique.
Working with Ed Rygel was a delight and a challenge.
He's a very creative and entrepreneurial individual.
He's such an energetic individual. He was always very committed to what we did.
Very curious, high, incredible energy.
Farsighted, very hardworking.
But he was also a challenge.
So I never really worked directly with Ed. It was more like I competed against Ed. So I decided not to join Ed's firm in 1988 when he was starting up. I went to another venture fund. And I had the unfortunate situation of having to compete against Ed. He was a fierce competitor. He built an unbelievably competitive business. And every time we'd be working on a deal, the first question that someone would ask would be, has MDS Capital looked at this? What does Ed Rygel think of this deal?
And he would be sounding the alarm bells on a regular basis. We've got to get going. We have to do this.
And the challenge for us was just keeping pace with him.
That he was like a dog with a bone. He was relentless. He would not go away just because you didn't understand it the first 3 times.
And so, very quickly, it became pretty evident to me that Ed was building a franchise that was going to be quite unassailable for others like myself. Ed had a vision 20 years ago to build a venture capital business at a time when that didn't exist. I mean, venture capital as a whole was a fairly nascent business here in Canada. Certainly life sciences venture capital was almost non-existent. And Ed had this vision that he could do something here, he could build a domestic industry.
The service was unusual in North America because it was so comprehensive. It covered everything. It organized groups of physicians so that they would understand the investment they were making and would be able to manage it.
He took a concept and built MDS Capital into a company that at its peak was managing about $1 billion in capital, and clearly the leader not only in the Canadian context, but also a significant player in the North American context. And that's really his legacy. I mean, everyone at some point was touched by Ed and Ed's vision and Ed's strategy.
He was one of the people who actually stemmed and formed the first seed fund that provided a lot of financing to emergent Canadian health and life sciences company.
Almost every venture firm today that focuses on healthcare or has that as a core part of its practice has a partner or associate or someone who came through the MDS Capital School of Life Sciences Venture Capital.
One of the things that made it all work was good humor. And we had our trust was lubricated with good humor. We'd walk into a restaurant after a hard day. Beautiful restaurant, it's empty. And vintage Ed Rygel, he would walk up to the hostess or maitre d' and say, I'm sorry, we don't have a reservation. Do you think you can fit us in?
So I describe Ed as the most buttoned-down guy I have ever known. I don't think there was ever a single day when I didn't see Ed just completely on his game, knowing where he wanted to go, having a view for what he wanted to accomplish.
We called him the Silver Fox with his white hair. We called him Fast Eddie because of his energy. Mr. X, the multiplier. Everything he touched, he took organization theory and concepts and he multiplied possibilities for all kinds of scientists and all kinds of people.
I was having a drink with one of my partners the other day and we were talking about Ed receiving this award and he started telling me a story about Ed being a Cub Scout leader. And frankly, I just can't imagine Ed as an Akela, running around in his shorts, starting up a campfire, getting dirty. If you go back to, the image of Ed as this buttoned-down guy, I have to say I had a pretty good chuckle over seeing Ed in his shorts by the campfire.
He and Ron Yamada another one of this famous group of ours. We had a wonderful, we're still friends after all these years, this key group that built this company. And they were fighting over who had won a bottle of Ne Plus Ultra Scotch. Now, you wouldn't even remember this. It doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. But I have some Latin in my background, and I heard Ne Plus Ultra and my love of Scotch. I said, this must be a good organization.
I think he's had a lifelong career helping and aiding scientists and people with good ideas. And I'm glad that he's getting this recognition.
Yeah, he is really a peer of many of the recipients who've enjoyed receiving this award in the past years. And I'm really proud to be associated with that and the fact that he's received this award.
There's nobody who has done more. I mean, the ripple effect of what he's done in the field of healthcare, healthcare ventures, technology, biotechnology, this man deserves an award. Edward, my friend, I congratulate you sincerely, and I thank you for all that you have done for MDS, for me, and for all those who have had the privilege and the pleasure of working with you. Well done.
Congratulations, Ed, on this award.
And he's helped lay a foundation for so many of us in this room today that I'm delighted to have this opportunity to thank Ed.
Ed, from both myself and from all of your former colleagues who are now at Lumira Capital, congratulations on this very deserving award.